And I'd like to welcome everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in this extraordinary community. And today, I'd like to begin our practice by inviting the chime to sing. And this is a wonderful way of just giving yourself permission to arrive to this moment, this practice, this time of reflection and settling in and ease. So, with that, let me invite our chime to sing. Friends, since January, we have been exploring a foundational aspect to Buddhism, and certainly a fundamental practice in the Recovery Dharma practice, which is the Four Noble Truths. And today is the last conversation we're going to have regarding the Fourth Noble Truth. But instead of focusing on just the Fourth Noble Truth, I actually just want to do a full summary of the Four Noble Truths and the most important way these truths come alive in me and are applicable to me. And I'll use the first person. However, I want to state very clearly that I'm not particularly unique. I'm a really ordinary, average human being. And so I feel very confident in suggesting that whatever is coming alive in me in some way will come alive in you. It may not be exactly the same way, but because we're both human beings, we're all human beings, there's something really accessible and relatable going on. So I'd like to share with you the way that I've reimagined the Four Noble Truths from its traditional language to a more contemporary approach. And I've had this reimagined language silk screened onto prayer flags, which we make available for an offering at Soul Center. These prayer flags were made by a third generation silk screening family in Nepal. And the first noble truth in Buddhism is there is suffering. And I'd like to share with you this prayer flag and this sort of barren tree. And it symbolizes that there is discomfort. But on the other side of this prayer flag, it's not there, it's just sort of blank, is the other aspect of this, which is there is comfort. And it's fascinating to contemplate this because it's obvious that discomfort causes us misery and sorrow, but we forget that sometimes our comfort can be a source of misery and unpleasantness. Just think back to the time that you overate. It's not a pleasant feeling, right? But it tastes so good going down. And if you're like me and you happen to be near a cheesecake, you're probably going to overindulge, and it's so comforting. Cheesecake is so comforting to my heart and mind until it's not, and it creates some discomfort. The second noble truth is there are causes and conditions, and these are, look at the weather that I've created. There are conditions to our discomfort and ease. And understanding these conditions is the heart of the second noble truth. This third flag is the Soul Center logo. This fourth flag is when we understand the nature of duality and how it shows up in our lives, comfort and discomfort, selfishness and selflessness, honesty and deceit, praise and blame, on it goes. When we understand the duality and we understand the conditions of the duality, we arrive at a harmony. And harmony is in motion. Harmony is not a static place. We move, we ebb and flow in and out of harmony. And one of the most common symbols for this spiritual reality is water, particularly at the edge of an ocean and the ebb and flow of the tide, the water and waves rolling in and out, and the feeling of standing on the sand and having the sand enter under your feet in full support. And then when the tide recedes, the sand pulls away and you feel a little bit wobbly. And the whole point of harmony is to learn how to move, to rebalance yourself in real time. You're not standing ramrod straight. You embody a suppleness so that you can move with that ebb and flow, so that you can rebalance yourself and not be knocked over. That's harmony. In the traditional practice, the fourth noble truth is that there's a way to end this misery. And the harmony represents the end of the chronic, cyclical nature of repetitious habit energy. The fourth noble truth, in the traditional sense, as I said, is there's a way. There are qualities that we can cultivate. There are concepts that we can explore. There are 8 of them in the traditional Buddhist practice, and we're going to spend the rest of the year exploring those. I happen to think that this way is called a practice. Remember, friends, practice doesn't need to be perfect. Practice makes practice. Okay, so there are our wonderful prayer flags, like a little crown that we can wrap around, or a little scarf, necklace. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wear my little necklace there. And let's arrive fully to our practice. And, may I begin by encouraging this is your practice. And invite your practice to be perfect. And what that means is just be where you are. Meet yourself exactly as you are. So, for instance, if you're feeling irritable or edgy, that's where you are in this moment. And rather than trying to make yourself peaceful or serene, rather than judge yourself for being irritable, irritability is bad, serenity and tranquility good. Again, that's the first noble truth. That is the inability to recognize duality coming alive. If you're irritable, that's simply the other side of serenity. If you're feeling annoyed, that's simply the other side of patience. If you're feeling any kind of craving, that's simply the other side of freedom. The two coexist. And so when we can come before that truth and look at it and just be able to say, yep, that's me. I'm annoyed. I'm irritated. I have some cravings. I'm seeking soothing. I feel confused. Whatever it is, be with it. And the curious thing about this, one of the things that training and sitting with helps us realize is by being with ourselves exactly as we are, we don't actually make things worse. That's the incredible thing. It may not feel great and we may feel a little insecure and unsettled, but we're actually not making anything worse. It's the resistance. It's the running away from, it's the pretending and ignoring and denying that inevitably makes things worse. So, in a moment of silence, simply identify how you are. And you can use the four foundations of mindfulness as anchors for your practice. Begin with your body. How's your body? Do you have any tension in your muscles? Just notice. And if you think about it, take a nice breath in and out and bring that part of your body that's in a little bit of distress forward into your attention. Remind yourself that there's a lot of ease in this moment. You're in a community. You're practicing present time awareness, which is mindfulness. You're exploring an ancient spiritual practice called the Four Noble Truths, which is extraordinary in that it is still alive thousands of years later. And not only is it alive, it's relevant. And by the goodness and the wisdom of your own mind and heart, you have carved this time to be able to be present to it. It's amazing. Take a moment to explore the second mindfulness foundation, which is your mood. What are your feelings? What are you perceiving in your emotions? And then notice if you have any stories or thoughts attached to either your body or your mood. And again, the practice isn't not having thoughts and stories. The practice is simply to identify that you're having thoughts and stories. And the deeper practice is to not go with them, not be hooked by them, just observe them. Thought coming in, thought receding, tide coming in, tide receiving, wave rolling in, bigger wave, wave rolling out, not being knocked over. And then once you settle in, you sort of have cleared the air, you've cleared your mind a little bit, softened the heart, you've settled in. Then a deeper inquiry practice can come forward. Say you have a thought or a feeling or even a sensation in the body that's really grabbed your attention. It's on your mind. Rather than try to get rid of it like a pesky fly or a mosquito, this is the moment to be with it. You've curated some space in your being where now you can puzzle with this and you can begin to examine the conditions of this feeling, this sensation in the body, this emotional landscape that you might be having, or a thought, or a memory, or an experience you had, and a story you're telling. Look at the conditions of that. See if you can begin to wield the instrument of peace by saying, wow, would you look at all this? Or you could also say, huh, that's true. What else is true? And the moment you ask yourself, what else is here? You immediately cultivate some curiosity and you immediately begin to see more conditions. And what's fascinating to me in this practice is the more conditions I see and the more things I understand and the more curious I become, the slower my thoughts spin, the deeper my breathing becomes, the more space between thought or feeling or sensation and wondering increases. And in that space, there's just breathing, there's just a gentle awareness. And then another thought or sensation will come up, and I'll puzzle that a bit. And then it'll move on. And a beautiful kind of empty spaciousness arises or just exists. I'm going to invite you, friends, to bring your attention to your breath. Or maybe if you're someone for whom the breath isn't a reliable source for you, invite that to be perfect. My breath is not my reliable source. There are people in community who have issues. They struggle to breathe. And so concentrating on the breathing is concentrating on the struggle. And that is not a calming resource. So if that's you, then I would encourage you to bring your attention to the tips of your thumbs. And then I'd like to bring your attention to the smile that hopefully erupted across your face as you became aware of the tips of your thumbs. Notice how your hands are resting, but make your the tips of your thumbs, make them touch and just bring your attention there. And you can tap your thumb tips if you want to. You can press your thumbs together and allow your thumbs to relax. Just have that tactile sense of return, attention, wander, return. This is a practice, friends. And may I say, it is an honor to practice among so many Kalyana Mitras, wise friends. You're already so good at this, and you inspire me deeply. Enjoy the fourth noble truth of this practice. Friends, friends, whether you gift yourself an hour of silent meditation, 20 minutes of mindfulness practice, or whether you breathe for just a moment, it is all practice and it all counts. So may you come into your practice, meeting yourself exactly as you are, understanding the conditions for why you are as you are, and allowing some ease and softening to settle. This is the way to harmony and peace. And this is something worth radiating out into the world as benefit to so many others. I'd like to take a step toward the conclusion of our practice today by simply chanting to the three jewels in Buddhism: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The teaching on the Four Noble Truths was the first teaching of the Buddha. And so we'll chant to him as the person, the human being who understood the conditions of his own life such that he had impeccably illuminated peace and was willing to and able to help so many. He's still helping so many with the Dharma, his teachings, and how those teachings come alive in individual people who gather together in community. The Sangha enriches everybody. So that is why we chant to the three jewels. This chant's very simple. We'll do it 3 times. It's Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, and Namo Sanghaya. If you know this chant, you can chant with me. Taking a deep breath in. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Dharmaya. Namo Sangaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sangaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sangaya. Okay. Share with you. I do love to write emails, so stay in contact with me if you'd like to. If you want to make a Dana offering, please do. And remember, friends, for Dana, if you'd like to make an offering for the prayer flags, for the Judaism stickers, we have t-shirts. These are all ways that you can support this community and the mission of Soul Center, which is spiritual well-being. All right, that's enough out of me. Let's go ahead and end our practice today, friends, with a dedication of merit. I'd like to encourage you to come into a posture, a noble posture. Remember, the first teaching of the Buddha was the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. Sometimes I like to think about this individual, Siddhartha Gautama, who was born into great wealth. So great that he was sheltered, hidden, really, from and separate from the reality of most people. And for whatever reason, there was something within this man, this young man, that he was curious, insatiably curious. The legend goes he climbed over the wall and got to interact with real people, and he got to see real things. And something within him shifted. And he dedicated his whole life then to understanding the causes and conditions of the misery that he was seeing. He tried on all the spiritual practices, religions, and ideology of the day. And then he himself just decided to be with himself alone and sit and understand his own mind and heart. And what he learned and what he discovered, he shared for the next 40 years. And here we are still talking about it. It's amazing. So I'd like you to end with me today by sitting in a tall way, straight back, soft belly, shoulders back so that the heart is lifted, able to receive the goodness that was experienced here today. Your goodness has left a mark in this community. Thank you for that. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in this present moment. This is a wonderful moment. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for you, exactly as you are. May you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.